You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Our lady sings and then makes it official. Welcome to the big show. For 16 years and nearly 2,100 episodes, we bring in the Chris Voss Show. And, man, the CEOs, the billionaires, the White House presidential advisors, the Pulitzer Prize winners, all the smartest people on the show, sharing their journeys, their stories. Stories are the honest man of life, as we like to say, and they help make sure we're not alone. And there's other people out there that have resources and experiences and cathartic moments they've survived. Survival seems to be the game of life. As always, refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss One, the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the interwebs in the sky. We have the newest author out with his latest book, Unlock Your Potential. Own your power, master your emotions, and live your best life today, because you don't want to live your best life tomorrow. If you do it today, then you'll have a best life tomorrow, too. I should probably map that out better in my head before I say it. Anyway, it was out April 30th, 2024. Matt Traverso joins us in the show. We're going to be talking about his insights, what made him write the book, and some of the input and stuff that he put in it and how it can help you. Matt is a transformative coach with more than 25 years of experience. He works with CEOs, athletes, entrepreneurs, and everyday people who want to get more out of themselves and their lives. He mentors coaches at all stages of their careers, from beginner coaches to seasoned professionals. Welcome to the show, Matt. How are you?
I'm very well. Very excited to be here, Chris. Good.
Very excited to have you as well. Matt, give us any .coms. Where do you want people to get to know you better on the interwebs?
My website is matttraverso.com.
So give us a 30,000 overview. What's inside your new book?
This book has occupied 15 years solid of my life writing it, really, and rewriting it. I rewrote it about too many times, too many to count. But anyway, the reason why I started this journey was to really find out for myself the best ways to maximize my time on this planet, this gift, this miracle, and utilizing my own inner resources in the best possible way. And of course, as I did that, along with all sorts of courses and coaching programs that I was both taking as a participant and offering as a coach, at the same time, I was also distilling these ideas whilst trying to write them down. So clarifying in my mind what I was learning, what I was doing, because I was so excited with the results that I was getting and that my clients were seeing in their lives.
That's amazing, man. And so that gave you the inspiration then, huh?
Exactly. And I just wanted to clarify, crystallize it as much as possible. But of course, it's always evolving. If I were to read it again, every time I will read it, I would make some alterations, some changes every single day. So finally I said, I got to stop reading it, because otherwise I will never publish it.
So Unlock Your Potential. Give us a kind of summation from your book and how we can unlock your potential. Of course, we want to just tease stuff out. We don't want to give them all the data. They got to buy the book for that.
Yeah, sure. My coaching journey and my journey in personal, professional development and coaching and self-help skills, tools, life skills in general, I started 30 years ago in the 90s. I'm a psychologist as well. And I actually studied NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, for many, many years. I'm a master trainer of NLP. So I actually, in the book, you have the best, because in the old days, I thought it was due to a bunch of techniques and strategies and tools. There are still lots of tools, techniques, and strategies, but there is a different outcome, a different purpose in this book. It's not just a bunch of techniques to learn, but it's all about you, the reader, becoming who they already are, more of who they already are, of who we already are. So maximizing our potential by being more of who we are. And I keep repeating it just, to make sure that our audience can really get it, which is about, to put it very simply and bluntly and almost insultingly, to be yourself. Be as you are.
And why is it important, in the title of your book, you have the line, master your emotions. Why is it important to master my emotions and have some maybe stoic control there?
Yeah, that's what life is about. Life is our emotions. If we have millions, billions of dollars, but we feel crappy, we feel depressed, we feel resented or angry all the time or frustrated, our life is about depression, sadness, frustration. That's our life. And several, but overall, many people find themselves, unfortunately, in these sad situations and sometimes take their own lives. And they have a ton of money, like Kate Spade in New York, a billionaire. And just, she was fairly recent. But so I think that emotions are the alpha and the omega, the beginning of the end is where the juice is. It is where our life is being lived. And that's what we care about anyhow. I'm actually sometimes closing my eyes when I actually say these kinds of things, because our life is not outside. We don't live in the beautiful Rolls Royce, it's not like we don't live in things, in objects. We live in here. I'm pointing to myself, and here is the result of how we use this thing between our ears. It's a smidge important to learn how to use it, since everything else will not suffice and guarantee our happiness at all unless we master our emotions by mastering our mind, by mastering our thinking.
Yeah. So we need to think over our emotions. Then we need to use thinking to control and master our emotions so that they don't get the best of us, maybe?
Yes, that's a simplified way of saying it. And fortunately now, we know from neurology that mental activity is where we live. That's it. That's the name of the game. Mental activity, we live in here. The principle of thought that shapes our perception, our reality. It's whatever we do inside, the meaning that we give to things, experiences, situations, people, circumstances. That's where the juice is. And it could be a good juice or a bad juice. If it's a good juice, you are doing great. If it's a bad juice, it doesn't matter how great the circumstances, people still feel like crap. And what I'm actually, ideally, through the book, people will realize that regarding the process of thinking, the relationship between thoughts and emotions, they realize that what's happening in here that is essentially determines and shapes our emotions, and we don't live in the feeling of objects, things, of the world, of people, but we live in the feeling of our thinking. Whatever we're thinking at the moment, that's what we are experiencing. And it doesn't matter what those people say. Sometimes people feel, hurt because those people say those nasty things, or they're unkind, uncaring, unloving, whatever. But that's not it, because usually, that's the reason why people, as a coach with 30 years experience, typically, the difficulties, the challenges people present in a coaching session have to do with their relation, in the realm of relationships, and not necessarily like a romantic relationship, because although that is included, but just relating to other people and hallucinating what other people are thinking of them.
Why do you call that a hallucination?
Why did I call it a hallucination? Yeah, because it's not reality. It's our perception. It's only what we are. That's a good question. Very good. It's only our perception. We humans are not in a position, and will never be in a position. We just can't know what the world is. We cannot know what a circumstance is, because the circumstance is neutral, 100%. And people can say whatever they say, can do whatever they do, but they have no power, not because we have the incantation, the affirmation, the declaration, the powerful declaration that people don't have the power to influence, my feelings. It's not that. Even though some people do these kinds of things, exercises, drills in seminars and workshops. No, but the reason is simply that it's not somebody's words, either kind, loving, beautiful, awesome, or not, that make us feel whatever we feel. Ultimately, what makes us feel whatever we feel is what we hallucinate, to use to answer the question, what we hallucinate within. Because you could actually say a wonderful thing to me, but if I hallucinate, all right, he's saying that to make me feel good, but he doesn't mean that. People can come up with all sorts of stuff in their mind, and even to repel some not genuine, sincere compliment, and vice versa. Some people can say not nice things to somebody, and this person can have any reaction, any response, any reaction whatsoever, can start laughing hysterically, can be totally indifferent, and any other possible reaction that we can think of, infinite number. That and we know that is true. So why is that true? Because we just, we don't, nobody knows what's out there. We think, we have these eyes that we actually see what the world is like. That's crazy. That's what we think. That's a thought. But what we know from neurology, what happens is that data, like you guys say, just is pouring on to us, and we just make it internally. We create a psychological experience. We just make a good guess as to what's happening out there, what's happening around me. And that's a guess. That's why two people can see the same, can witness the same car crash, for example, and actually then have a completely different experience and report a different recollection of the event, each believing 100% genuinely believing of their own truth, whatever it is that they are saying, they are reporting. We go and see a concert, somebody likes it, somebody doesn't. We read a book, we get two different interpretations or experiences from the book, the movie we just watched. this, there are all sorts. We see a building. Somebody says that's beautiful. Somebody says that's the worst example of architecture, and on and on and on. Yeah. Golf, you like it. Somebody doesn't. Yeah, so I remember, a friend of mine. He was actually having this beautiful experience. He brought his girlfriend to Hawaii. And, the first day they wake up and he wakes up and she is just pacing up and down, frustrated. She could not wait a second to leave Hawaii. Then, wow. Finally, they settled the situation. So it's essentially that. Why is that important? Why am I talking about this? Maybe, if we realize that the reason that the feelings that we have are not determined, are not the result of circumstances, people, or the people that your wife that betrayed you, she cheated on you, and things like that. That's not the case. You might say, hooray, I'm free. I don't know. I'm just kidding. But, when I actually challenge my clients with a lot of respect and ultimately, once you have empathy, connection, you want to explore what's going on. Mm-hmm. And usually we find out that what's going on, they have bought into a general hallucination that everybody's supposed to agree with. Once we realize what we've been doing, that we bought into a cultural conditioning or cultural way of responding to something, like you get fired, you're supposed to get drunk and get depressed and get drunk again. That's what you're supposed to do. Yeah. But there is no biology in the human system that translates being fired with feeling bad. How many times, like Disney, Walt Disney, and many others, other famous people and not famous people, just people that say, okay, I got fired. Thank God for that. How can I make it the best thing that's ever happened to me? Yeah. That's a great question, by the way. And there's always a way. You say, okay, so this is finally the call from the universe telling me quite clearly, start your own business or start your own company or just go to another company, but with a different attitude. Yeah. Go to another company to make a contribution, because if you got fired, you were not being very valuable to that company. Otherwise, they wouldn't have fired you.
Yeah. So emotions can be an obstacle that prevent people from reaching their potential. I've often said, emotions aren't reality. They're kind of rose-colored glasses to our own internal experiences in life. If you have trauma, or if you have some sort of emotional damage or perception, it's really just your own interpretation. So like, you provided some examples before. I always use an example where two people can go to a party. One person can see that it's an awful party, and everything they see is all the people who aren't having fun. And then another person going to a party, same party, and they can see all the people that are having fun. It's a great party, and they both come away with two different perceptions of that party, and based on their emotions and their filters of interpreting that. Two people can watch a sunset. One can be like, oh my God, it's so beautiful, it's amazing. Another person can be in horrified emotional terror that the world's ending because the sun's going down, it may never return. So I use that as the two extreme examples.
Yes, and you said something, I want to pick up on something you said just now. You mentioned we have our own filters. That's it. Everything that we experience is being filtered through our own personal, subjective, unique, individual filters. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's got to be unique to you. And we think that it's not mine, my perception. We think that, no, it's not me, it's them. It's those people. It's the world. It's the stock market. It's the circumstances, and on and on. Yes, absolutely. I just wanted to actually, make that distinction. Yeah, there are lots of examples like that. Everything is like that. Although very often we are just trapped into generalizations, and we just go along.
Yeah. And so that's why it's so important to use logic and reason, is because you can get closer to the truth and what goes on with it. So how has writing this book affected your personal and professional life?
Quite a bit. Personally, my personal life and my professional life, how have they, certainly, like I mentioned earlier, it's been a great opportunity for me to refine and distill these patterns of thinking. That's been very useful to me personally and professionally, because I don't have any other occupations. I've been doing coaching all my life.
Wow.
So it just helped. I now have a coaching school. I mean, I've been running my coaching school for the past 6 years. Wow. And yeah, actually it helped me in all these different ways. But, I wanted to mention something about emotions, because that's what most people are usually interested in. They're interested in, how do I change my emotions? And right, because if we actually wait for the emotions, probably you mentioned that earlier, so it's very important to change our emotions. Yes, but if we wait, of course, sometimes we have to do that as well, and we do that as well. But ideally, it is to prevent negative emotions in the first place. How do we do that? We just stay centered, grounded, present to ourselves, in harmony, in tune with ourselves, and we do well. We do very well. And simply because when we are having an emotion, if we try to change it, and I know that because I've been into changing emotions for decades, for at least 2 decades, through neuro-linguistic programming primarily, which is a bunch of tools and techniques and strategies. But these days, I stopped using these tools and techniques, because otherwise people think, all right, it's because of that technique that I used that I resolved that negative emotion. And it's something like there's too much forcing, and that forcing bit, I stopped liking it. And now I want things to be as genuine and authentic as possible. What do I mean? I mean that I made a great discovery. I didn't really, probably I knew it unconsciously, but not consciously. But now I know. I'm actually, for example, this is something that I distilled through writing the book. I realized that we come to this world with a good feeling. The feeling of being alive. And it's a great, awesome feeling. The feeling of being alive. And we have it from the very beginning. We have this awesome feeling. So what am I saying? I'm saying that our default is well-being. Well-being is our natural state. So we don't actually need a bunch of techniques to make us feel good. Feel good is what we are at our essence, at our core. We are well-being, we are resilience, we are love, we are joy, happiness. Just look into a newborn baby's eyes, and what do you see? Pure joy, bliss. That's what you see. Except for those times when when it's wet or when it's hungry. Other than that, normally, except for those times, it's doing amazingly, this baby. So that's just a clue as to our natural state, which is just pure good feelings. So what gets us out of these good feelings are, I call it contamination, contaminated thoughts, that misleading thoughts that distract us, the interference that takes us out of our natural state of awesomeness, of, again, well-being and joy and love. So that's a great thing to keep in mind. And in more practical terms, we want to realize if we are not feeling good, let's just let those feelings pass without trying to change them, trying to push them away, trying to analyze them, trying to avoid them. If we just know that what they are is not reality, because that's what people think. They hallucinate. You have some thoughts. I mean, I say, in general, people have some thoughts and you generalize, okay, so that's what's happening. Oh my gosh, my life. Wow. And they actually, and they do all crazy things. Even those people that, crazy people doing crazy shit that they regret for the rest of their lives. Why do they do that? Because, and then they regret it. And then they say, oh my gosh. Or, those crazies. Sorry if I mention, the other guy that has your same name, that hijacked your name, Chris Voss, who was talking about these bank robbers. And they are so regretful when they are inside the bank, and they regret having robbed the bank in the first place. And they can't wait to just get out as safely as possible. And so why do they do all these crazy things, people, all the time, and much worse things? Because at that time, they believe in their thought. Okay, all right, we actually have clarified an amazing principle. The more people believe in their thoughts, the more they get themselves into trouble. The more instead we clearly identify and see thoughts for what they really are, i.e. transitory, temporary mental impulses, period, nothing else, the better we feel, the more centered we are, and the more we are in a place, in a position capable of taking things, challenges, difficulties in stride.
Yeah, most definitely. So let me ask you this. What would be one piece of advice you would give to someone who feels stuck in their current situation and is struggling to move forward?
To become honest, to get honest with themselves, really honest, dirt honest with themselves, and saying, hey, first of all, take stock, be responsible. Why are you finding yourself in this rut, in this hole, in this stucky situation? Why are you stuck in the first place? I mean, it didn't just happen. Oh my gosh, it happened like the rain or the sunshine. It doesn't happen like that. There are things leading up to that state. The more we embrace lovingly, caringly, responsibly all of that, the more we are in a position now to take life, take control of your life, of your situation, and start making new decisions, new choices, and moving in a new direction, and start experiencing a new reality, new perceptions, and start, you of course, it starts with, like asking yourself, what do you really want? What's most valuable in your life? If were your last day on earth, what would you be doing? How would you spend it? Mm-hmm. You wouldn't actually, get upset over silly things and just waste it. No, you would actually, do, all the most loving things you can think of.
Yeah. sometimes mortality brings us to realize that some things, your
Yes.
problems, and sometimes are just way overblown and just a hill of beans. What are some exercises in your books that you've included? Do you have a favorite one and its benefits that happen?
Yeah, Chris. Yes, good question. Yes, I have many exercises. I think some very powerful ones are the ones that help you change your belief systems. But the one that I find most characteristic, or it's one of my favorite, because I've done it myself, and it's writing your own personal manifesto, your internal commitment statement, a personal manifesto.
Do I have to go to like a Montana and get me a cabin in the woods to do that?
Do you need to go to a cabin in the woods to do that?
Yeah.
Take a weekend.
I'm referencing the Unabomber. It's a Unabomber joke, but it kind of dates me.
It's a good idea. It would be a great idea to go for a weekend in the woods, so that you're just you and yourself, and writing, coming up with maybe 10, 15, 20 declarations, more than declarations, they're just statements that just to remind you who you really are, who you think you are, why you're here, what's invaluable for you, what are your priorities, what do you value most, what are you most grateful for, and who is this person that you call yourself. Because, hey, it's not your body. We all know that. Mm-hmm. It's your brain. Which part of your brain?
Definitely. Some people have no brain, so I don't see that on social media and Twitter.
Ultimately, the essence is even, your worth. But that's not even an easy question. Also, we actually have to hallucinate a little bit, and we go with our values, because what else is there?
Most definitely. So you, in your book, you talk about mentors and role models. Why is it important to have a mentor? And do you want to talk about one mentor who significantly impacted your journey?
Yes. I think mentors, and then of course, at every stage of our life, we give answers that are different to the same questions. For example, had you asked me that question 20 years ago, at the beginning of my career, I would have said, a coach allows you, a mentor allows you to actually to have the clarity, and it gives you tools and strategies. No, not today, not at all. Anyway, what is actually very valuable? Yes, it gives you clarity, because they ask you questions, usually a good coach, because then, there are different, a mentor is quite different to a coach. A mentor is taking you under their wing and mentoring you and sharing everything they learned, passing along all the wealth of knowledge that they've accumulated in their lifetime. That's like mentoring. Coaching is not giving any solutions. It's not giving any answers. It's not providing any resources, but it's just putting you in a state where you find, in a context, to create an insight-friendly space, an environment very conducive to you having your own realization, your own insights, and coming up with your own answers and solutions. So that's coaching. But what I actually, the reason why I say yes right now, today I'm answering this way. The reason why it's been very valuable, it's because it allows you to see that we are all very human.
Yeah.
So and you actually, you navigate life with more kindness, gentleness, and ease, much more ease. That's it.
Much more ease. That's definitely good. Definitely good to have. So what do you hope as we go off, people come away with the book? What do you hope they learn? What do you hope inspires them, et cetera, et cetera?
With the book, I would like for them to number one, have their own insights, because that's how the book is geared up to be, to really inspire the reader to have their own insights. And ultimately, if I were to say, okay, what would be my preference that they get? I would actually love for them to be more of themselves, to fall in love with themselves, to treasure themselves, to deeply honor themselves, respect themselves, truly love themselves. Somebody might think, yeah, that sounds very selfish. Not in that way, not at all. Because I believe, and correct me if you don't think so, if you have a different idea, I'd be interested. I believe that the more we feel good about ourselves, the more we express this goodness to others, the better we treat others, the more we extend our love and gentleness and kindness to others as well. And in fact, so much so that that's the primary reason for taking, maybe, I don't know if it's both ways are both important, for taking so much care of ourselves. For taking care of ourselves so much is because we can really then love others as so much as well. So It works both ways. But I think, the focus is taking care of others by taking care of ourselves. And I don't think that we can really do that if we don't take care of ourselves first. Like it's written in the good book, love thy neighbor like thyself. In an airplane, in case of emergency, they say, put the mask on your mouth first. Otherwise, we cannot. If we don't love ourselves, how on earth can we love others? So I think that, okay, back to your question, is yes, I would love for them to fall in love with themselves, be fully themselves, who they really are, and the process that they will go through the book, between the lines and in the lines, is just all the many different ways of loving ourselves, appreciating ourselves, respecting ourselves. Anyway, that was my question. Do you agree that if we want to love others more, a good place to start is by loving ourselves more?
Definitely, because you can't share something that you don't have. And so if you aren't happy inside, if you don't love yourself, it will affect your interpersonal relationships with everyone else, and it will be reflective of the results you get. So you've got to be able to make yourself happy first. I mean, you gave some great examples of the plane, put your oxygen mask first on, but it's there's a lot of people who go through the world and they got a lot of great advice for everyone else, but they don't take self-accountability to their own selves. And if you're miserable, if you're unhappy as a person, it's going to affect your results, and it's going to affect the people you integrate with and all that good stuff. So this has been real insightful, Matt. Give us your final thoughts as we go out for people to pick up the book. To talk to us, pitch out a little bit about what offers you have on your website, courses, all that sort of good stuff, and how people can reach out to you to do business with you, to have you coach them and help them through their issues.
Yes. Anyway, there was a nice note what you were sharing, and maybe of course, we just want to do it, just listening to ourselves, listening to our wisdom, to our inner guidance, our intuition. Anything that I shared and we talked about in this podcast should not be taken as a tactic. Please don't, because if that's the message, then I didn't convey the message effectively enough. So we just, it's natural. Again, like babies are loving and they want to share the love. They don't do it as a tactic. Let's model newborn babies. Not when they're teenagers, and not even when they're 4 or 5. No, when they're like newborn babies, really. That's real, pure love, pure magic. Anyway, my website is traverso.com, and the spelling is MATT, and the last name is Traverso, TRAVERSO. So it's one word with 3 T's, .com. And I actually speak other languages. So I'm not going to talk about my upcoming, which is going to start very soon, my upcoming coaching certification program, because that is in Italian. I also speak French, but this one is for the Italian. For those who speak Italian, sure, it's comediventarecoach.com. But if you actually speak English, then if you go to traverso.com, that's not, that's in Italian.
Oh, okay.
Whereas, yes, but on my website, if I provide coaching services, one-to-one coaching programs that they can actually, find information about, also find information about the book. And currently we have it in paperback, hardcover, Kindle, and audiobook as well.
Oh, wow.
As of 2 weeks, we have. I finally, I tracked him down. This great narrator with a very good American accent. His name is Charles Constant. So he finished narrating it, and it's available on audible.com and amazon.com.
It's been wonderful to have you on the show, Matt. We've learned a lot and inspired people a lot. They should go pick up your book wherever fine books are sold. So thank you very much, Matt. We appreciate it.
Likewise, it was very enjoyable. Thanks very much, Chris.
Thank you, sir. And to our audience, pick up the book wherever fine books are sold. It is entitled Unlock Your Potential, Own Your Power, Master Your Emotions, and Live Your Best Life Today. I mean, unless you really don't want to live your best life today, you're like, I want to live my worst life today, so I'm not going to buy that book. But if you want to live your best life today, order the book today wherever fine books are sold, and reach out to Matt to find out more at how he can help you. Thanks, for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss One, the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Well, maybe not all of them. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. And that should have us.